And when we stay curious, we become more adaptable. We're humans, first and foremost. We're not computers.
Welcome to the Buzz Hive, brought to you by the University of Manchester, Dubai. Here at Studio 108, where real stories from real people inspire real impact. It is my honor to welcome our guest today, a distinguished public servant, legal trailblazer, and passionate advocate for social justice and education. He is the Chancellor of the University of Manchester. Please welcome Mr. Nazir Afzal OBE. Sir, a very, very good morning.
Oh, it's a pleasure. A real pleasure to be here. Thank you so much for accommodating me.
It's been an absolute pleasure from our side. First thing and foremost, I would like to ask you, how have you been finding your time here in Dubai so far?
Dubai is a lovely place. I mean, obviously, I'm getting used to the weather. I mean, this is winter.
It does. It's starting.
And to my mind, this is as hot as I want it to be. But I've been here when it's 50 degrees. And so I'm actually lucky. Well, I think we're lucky it's only 30 degrees right now. But I love Dubai. I love the fact that people just always have a smile on their face.
True.
And people work extremely hard around here. You know, they're working 7 days a week, 24 hours a day to support their families and their friends. And I think that's a real testament to the power of this country.
I have 3 questions for you, actually 4 questions for you, Nazir. Your journey to becoming Chancellor is truly inspiring. Looking back, what defining moments shaped her path to leadership and service in higher education?
It's a real privilege to be the Chancellor of this great university. It's something that I never envisaged ever holding as a position. I was, back in the United Kingdom, I was Chief Prosecutor. I was the first Muslim Chief Prosecutor in the United Kingdom. I was the first brown Chief Prosecutor in the United Kingdom. I then left that 10 years ago to become Chief Executive of the country's police commissioners. I've had a series of phenomenal roles, all very privileged in the sense that I feel like I'm making a difference. And then when the opportunity came to become Chancellor of the University of Manchester, I grasped that. Because here I was now, hoping to make a difference in one of the world's great institutions. We tend to sometimes forget how much the University of Manchester has achieved. I mean, the University of Manchester was the very first industrial university in the world. You know, the University of Manchester was created as an answer to a question when the Industrial Revolution was starting. People were wondering, well, how do we ensure that we have the right skills? The University of Manchester said, we have an idea. We're going to set this up. And here we are 200 years later, delivering phenomenal world-class education. We have more than 550,000 alumni. We have 48,000 students, 13,000 staff. 190 countries our people live in and work in. We have 26 Nobel Prizes. And none of that comes without effort. None of that comes without people committing and being really passionate about making sure that the next generation have all the opportunities that our generation have had and more. The fact that I'm fulfilling this role at this institution, sometimes I have to pinch myself at how fortunate I feel to be doing this. But at the same time, I recognize that this university is about global reach. It's about world-class research. It's about world-class teaching. It's about ensuring that the next generation of leaders have the skills that this generation don't have. And I've been very fortunate to have led so many institutions during my career. But of all the roles I've had, this is the one that I found the most pleasing and the one that I think is most fulfilling.
Wow, that's a very incredible story. Thank you for that, Nazir. How about in the era of rapid global change, from technology to sustainability, what do you believe is the university's greatest responsibility to society?
I think education has changed. Education is not just about, when I graduated 35 years ago, it was about, here's the degree, now go and do a job. And actually, that's not what it is now. It's about committing yourself to lifelong learning. What the university does is teaches you to be critical, teaches you to do your own research. In the world of fake news, in the world of misinformation and disinformation, it is so important to ensure that you have all the facts at your fingertips. And so the university now is about skilling you up for lifelong learning so that you don't just finish with your degree. You think about what other studies you can do, what other learning you can tap into at some point. And the University of Manchester provides you with all those various options. It's also, Jocelyn, about the public good. I think going back historically, universities were about you as an individual being skilled up. But actually, it's more than that now. It's about what you deliver to the wider public. What difference do we make? Every year we have the Make a Difference Awards. True. Of all the awards we have, those are to my mind, are the most important, because what we recognize at those ceremonies is the people who are really making a difference, who are having social impact. It's not just about your studies. What impact have you had? What impact are your studies having on the wider community and beyond? And I think there's also something about ethical leadership. Going back to what I said about misinformation and disinformation, we need people to stand up for integrity and ethics. Who else but the university will do that? There is a war on truth. There's a war on honesty. For us as a university to ensure that people are skilled up to be able to navigate a particular path, which is more difficult now than it probably has ever been in our lifetimes. And I think so all of those things is about community too. When we had disorder, we had riots in England a year or so ago, this university stood up and said, right, we want to invite our community members to come together to see what we can do together to ensure that we bring unity and tackle division and tackle hostility. And so the university has a convening role, which enables people to just have a safe space to speak up, a safe space to learn, a safe space to talk. And I think all of those are new functions for a university. They didn't exist when I was studying. This university is here to provide all of those.
Education is becoming increasingly borderless. How do you see the University of Manchester shaping global collaboration in research, learning, and innovation?
I think back, in the 1920s, Albert Einstein gave his very first UK lecture from the University of Manchester. Alan Turing founded the modern computer in the University of Manchester. Ernest Rutherford split the atom at the University of Manchester. We've always been global leaders. We always provide an opportunity for global academics and thought leaders to come together and think about what the next generation wants to know, and also what we can learn from each other. I think the university, the fact that we have this Middle East Center, the fact that we have centers in other parts of the world, is all about showing that we recognize our global place. The fact that we do so, you can't do world-class research without talking to other world-class researchers. You can't do world-class teaching without finding world-class teachers from wherever they may be. And so the university is well placed to do that. It's already done that. It's not something that we are simply ambitious about. We're already delivering it. We have ambitions to do more of it. I was in Somalia not long ago, and I remember telling people, they asked me where I was from. I said Manchester. First thing they said was Manchester United. The second thing they said was Manchester University. And so quickly, people are beginning to realize that Manchester is not just about football.
Sure.
Manchester is not just about music and the creative arts. Manchester is also about academia and studies. And that, I think, is really welcome, but it's also a real opportunity, and one I have no doubt that Manchester University will grasp.
True. We're looking forward for actually more things to come and years to come, actually, with the University of Manchester.
Absolutely.
One last question. What advice would you give to future leaders, especially students who aspire to make a difference in a global scale?
The world is really challenging, and that means that you've got to act with honesty, with integrity. You've got to act with purpose. You've got to think about what difference. Somebody said to me the other day, Nazir, greatness is not about what you have, it's what you do with it. And Maya Angelou once said, it's not about what you do, it's how you make people feel. And I think the University of Manchester is about creating graduates and postgraduates who have a sense of purpose, who have a sense of wanting to make a difference, about ensuring that they have a role to play within their communities. One of the problems with the university sector more generally over the years has been it's been seen as that place over there and not feeling part of the community. That is changing, and the University of Manchester has led that change, to make sure that people see the university as their university. It's about a sense of purpose. Have a sense of purpose. It's also about listening. One of the key skills, Justin, that people don't recognize enough is listening. We're very good at talking. I'm an advocate. I was born to talk. I'm a lawyer. I do this all the time. But listening is a skill that we need to do more of, because when you hear what people are experiencing, when you hear what people want to tell you, when you give them the ability to share, then you grow inside. And I think from our perspective, we need to listen more deeply. We need to be more curious. The university is really good at this. Let's keep asking questions. That's how we will improve, if we keep asking questions. And when we stay curious, we become more adaptable. We respond and we're more flexible to the world that we live in, rather than being very rigid and robust. This is how we must operate always. But it's also about empathy. We're humans, first and foremost. We're not computers. And humans have this ability to be sensitive, to appreciate, to understand, and be empathetic. And I want our graduates and graduands and anybody that has any relationship with the university to have empathy, to have integrity, to have honesty, to be listening, to have a sense of purpose, to make a difference, and to recognize that we are the best. We are very fortunate that we're at university. The vast majority of people in the world never get this opportunity. And though now that we've got this opportunity, here's an opportunity, we need to do something with it. We need to make a difference to make sure that those who haven't got all the joys of the time that we've spent here, we need them to appreciate and be appreciated for all that they do.
That was truly inspiring. Truly, truly inspiring. Thank you for that, Nazir. You know what? I have this thing that I called Quick Talk at 10. Okay. All right? That's going to be a fast question and answer. We're going to have a little bit fun here, okay, Nazir. So I'm going to ask you 10 questions. You have to answer it very, very quickly.
First thing comes to my mind.
Exactly. First thing that comes to your mind. Let's go. This is going to be the Quick Talk at 10, the Chancellor's edition. All right. Are you an early bird or a night owl?
Very much an early bird. I sleep 4 hours a night.
Okay.
I have a 20-hour day, so I do my best.
You prefer a Zoom meeting or a real coffee chat?
People. I mean, obviously we have to have Zoom meetings and team meetings, but I love meeting people.
Manchester rain or Dubai sunshine?
I was born in Birmingham. I worked in London, but I was made in Manchester. And so as much as I love Dubai, Manchester is always my home.
The rain still wins. Okay. Morning motivation or late night inspiration?
Late night inspiration. I sometimes find myself really late at night thinking, like a light bulb lights up. And more of that, please.
Okay. What's your go-to comfort food after a long day of meetings?
You'd imagine as a South Asian that I love my curry. Of course I love my curry. But I also, I'll be honest with you, I'm vegetarian and I will eat anything that's got vegetables in it. And very often it can be pizza, it can be curry. But I'm very, very flexible.
What's the first thing you do start your day right?
As much as I don't feel that I'm addicted, if I don't have a coffee, I won't feel human.
Okay. One lesson from your personal journey that continues to guide you today?
The fact that I've been touched by the stories of victims and survivors. As you know, I prosecuted some of the most horrific crimes in the world. And I've sat down with victims and survivors, and they have shared with me some of the most heartwarming, heartrending things. And when I feel privileged listening to them, but I also feel a sense of responsibility to do something for them. So that, the fact that people trust me is the most important thing in the world.
Best advice you ever receive?
I used to be a DJ when I was qualifying as a prosecutor. So I'd be prosecuting in the day and I'd be DJing at night. And I remember a phenomenal DJ called Andy Weatherall, very famous, who's now passed away. He comes up to me at one of my clubs and says, "Nazir, my advice to you is give it up." And he was right. If I hadn't given up my DJing, maybe I wouldn't be where I am.
All right, last two question. What's one quality you believe every university graduate should possess?
It's the ability to listen and to accept that you don't know everything. Be humble. Recognize that you're very fortunate to be at university. 98% of people never get that chance. Now, listen to others who haven't had that opportunity and give back to them for all the things that you've been given.
And lastly, what does leadership mean to you in one sentence?
It's the ability to liberate others, to achieve results, to develop communities and develop others, and ultimately to build strong relationships.
Thank you so much for that, Nazir. It's been an absolute pleasure on our side. Thank you so much for this interview. Thank you again, sir. Thank you so much. Thank you for joining us at the Buzz Hive here at Studio 108. Today's conversations remind us that every voice has the power to inspire change, and every story brings us stronger together. My name is Joseph Ranyola, and from all of us here at the University of Manchester, Dubai, remember to always to be that change. Until then, masalama everyone.